An old but still relevant saying in computers is, in order to be affected, it must be selected. That holds true for working with images in Photoshop as well. There are many ways that we can select content, but one of my favorites is the lasso tool. Just like the rope used by cowboys, this tool allows us to enclose our desired content so that we can manipulate it somehow. We'll see here that there are several different lasso tools, but we'll use just one to demonstrate how it works. The lasso tool can be found in your Tools panel, and unless you've done something else to configure it, it's probably about the third one down from the top. It does have a flyout menu because there are several different types of lassos we can work with. Kind of the free-form lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, which allows us to make segments of lines, and then the magnetic lasso, which is the one I'm going to choose at this point. The magnetic lasso basically uses contrast to find an edge and then be able to follow it. And it works very well in a lot of situations. The polygonal lasso tool works very well if you have hard edges with a lot of contrast. But what if you don't? Or what if they're not really straight? That's what we have in this case. What I want to do is make a selection of the headstone that we see here. The first thing I'll do is zoom in just a little bit so I can see more detail. I'll use Control+. Whenever we choose tools in Photoshop, we do have a variety of settings up on the top. We're not going to worry too much about these right now. We're simply going to start clicking and dragging to make our lasso around this particular headstone. I'm going to start by doing a single click, and I'm going to be following actually the dark edge. Notice that if I move up and off of it, it tries to follow the mouse, but as soon as I come back and it sees the color, it will come back down. We also can make fine adjustments with this if we decide that something we did just didn't work the way that we expected it to. So basically, I'm going to drag around the edge of this headstone. Normally, you would want to be fairly careful. Since it's a matter of time, I'm not being nearly as careful as I probably would be, and also not paying quite as much attention to detail. But the technique is still going to be the same. You can at any point go ahead and click to make an anchor point. For example, I'm now on a straight edge, so I might click, and then I can kind of bring it down and make another click. Now, while the tool is magnetic, it does have a tolerance. That's one of the settings that we can work with up above. It does work much better the more precise you can be. So don't think that you can be way off of the edge and still have it magically do its thing. It's not quite that smart. We do have to do our best to be precise. Just a little more to go here and we will be done. When you're working with an open tool like this that doesn't create a closed shape, when you get back to the top, or the end in this case, you simply need to do a double click to enclose it. Now, is that the easiest way to make a selection? It really depends. There are many ways to make selections in Photoshop, and different types of elements have tools that do it better or not. In this case, the magnetic lasso allows us to follow the dark edge of the headstone as opposed to all of the different colors and elements that are in the image, and make a fairly good selection without needing to do too much adjustment after the fact. Once you have a selection, what you do with that selection is